What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm gonna teach you the 5 most important metrics that you need to track in order to make decisions on a daily basis. The first metric is your daily contribution margin. Your contribution margin is defined as your net sales plus shipping minus your cost of goods, minus your ad spend, and minus your other cost of delivery. And your other cost of delivery is simply a blended estimated percentage of your merchant, shipping and fulfillment, and pick pack fees. And by the way, net sales is defined as your gross sales minus discounts minus returns. In your high-level forecast, you should have a monthly contribution margin target, and then you can break it down on a daily basis based off of your daily revenue expectation. Keep in mind, contribution margin does have an expectation of a return rate. And if you're wondering about your returns for your contribution margin, returns should also be forecasted from a high level, and they're going to be processed throughout the month on different days for different brands. So by the end of the month, you have to basically expect that your return rate that you're expecting is going to shake out whatever the way that you're forecasting it. The second metric you should track is order revenue. Order revenue is defined as your gross sales minus discounts plus shipping and taxes. Now, there are a ton of different revenue definitions. Even the default in Shopify is called total sales, which isn't really a helpful metric in my opinion. The reason why we track daily performance using order revenue and not any other revenue definition is because it's the closest thing to match what the customer has in their cart at checkout, meaning it's matching the ad platform's reported revenue as close as possible, which is very helpful for daily decision making. For top line revenue, we don't measure things like returns that are completely out of our control. We want to measure things that our ad spend is directly impacting, which is best defined as order revenue. The third metric you should track is called your AMER, or your acquisition marketing efficiency ratio. Your AMER is defined as your new customer revenue divided by all of your ad spend. I've heard some people refer to this as NC ROAS. I believe some platforms like Triple Whale use that term. Your AMER is especially helpful if you're using a cohort forecasting system, meaning you're forecasting your high-level returning customer revenue expectation and new customer revenue expectation at the beginning of the month. This is really helpful because then you can see how you're tracking against both new and returning customer expectation throughout the month and how both are contributing to your high-level revenue goals. To forecast new customer revenue, all you need to do is take all of your new orders and have an assumed average order value for new customers. So take new orders times new AOV equals your new customer order revenue target. And like I said, we do this exact same exercise with returning customer revenue. Having an AMER target is extremely helpful because you can see how efficient your ad dollars are blended across all channels, really getting a good idea of what your marketing efforts efficiency is. Every single day, I look at my AMER and actually calculate it throughout the day to understand if I have room to push on the gas with spend, if I'm significantly ahead of my AMER expectation. For example, if I have a 2.5 target and I'm pacing at a 3.5 throughout the day, that means new revenue is pacing really hot and I can actually push on spend and push into the 2.5 AMER, spending more to make more new customer revenue. Now, the fourth metric is one of my favorites. It's called your paid acquisition MER, or PAMR. This is all of your paid attributed revenue divided by all spend. Now, there's a few reasons why your paid acquisition MER is a really helpful metric to track. To be clear, your paid revenue is all of the revenue that's actually attributed from the ad platforms. So if you're taking the revenue reported from Meta ads and TikTok and Google, all of that revenue divided by your spend is your paid acquisition MER. You could say that this is a step down in the hierarchy of metrics, with AMER being your North Star and your paid acquisition MER helping you understand what the actual impact of the paid channels are and what the gap is between, for example, your new customer revenue and your paid attributed revenue. The gap between those things is called your organic revenue. So to reiterate, your organic revenue is your new customer revenue minus your paid attributed revenue. In this gap, you can track through apps like Google Analytics, for example, try to understand what is creating that additional revenue that is not being generated from your paid channels. It's also really helpful because if your paid acquisition MER is greater than your AMER, then you have a problem where one of your channels is over attributing performance. Because AMER is a real number. That is dollars in your pocket, true new customer revenue reported from Shopify. And your paid acquisition MER is simply what the channels are taking credit for. So to be clear, your paid revenue and your paid acquisition MER should never be higher than your AMER. And if you do, that means that you have something called negative organic revenue, which should never be the case. And it means that a channel is over attributing performance. Technically, I said there were only 5 metrics, but we went over organic revenue as well. We'll put that a little bit under paid acquisition MER. And the 5th and final metric that you should track is your ROAS reported in platform. Now you may be thinking to yourself, I look at ROAS first thing in the day on Facebook ads. And I'm here to tell you that's the incorrect thing to do for running your business. You need to look at these higher metrics that are more indicative of actual performance before going down the hierarchy and looking at channel attributed revenue. And the reason is because channel revenue is not as trustworthy as these higher metrics. Like I said, AMER is real dollars in your pocket. So is order revenue and contribution margin. Those are the things that you need to look at first and see how they're trending against target in order to make decisions, and then go down the hierarchy of metrics and look at the channel level ROAS that is more, in my opinion, of a directional signal to help you make a decision of channel allocation or where you should allocate your ad dollars. I find pretty often that more junior media buyers are very stuck in platform. They're only caring about their own return on ad spend, when in reality that ROAS may not even be a real number because it's not being looked at within the full context of how you're tracking against real business targets like your AMER, like revenue and contribution margin. I've seen a lot of circumstances where media buyers will unnecessarily push spend forward because there's a really high platform ROAS, but when you look at your AMER, we're actually missing target, and therefore you're actually burning more contribution margin because you're not taking into account high-level business metrics. Just to recap all of the metrics we talked about, we went over contribution margin, we went over order revenue, we also went over your AMER, your paid acquisition MER, your organic revenue, and then finally your channel level performance, being channel level revenue or ROAS. And that's really it. You can use these metrics every single day, create a spreadsheet, look at your AMER and how you're pacing against your high level expectation of the forecast that I told you how to do, and that can help you go down to the channel level and make adjustments. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please hit that subscribe button to stick around. I'll be making new content very frequently, and I have a big goal this year of hitting 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I love making content for y'all and want to be able to provide the best and most valuable content as possible. So if you're not a subscriber already, hitting subscribe definitely helps me out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.